give that vote.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino.
Acknowledge me.
I acknowledge all of you for making it to the weekend, and boy, oh boy, did today.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
Big
It
time.
did, didn't it?
Holy moly, what a day. I've got a lot of thoughts, and more importantly, I want to hear your thoughts on tonight, the return of De'Aaron Fox. Grant and I had an excellent open forum show last night. Really great calls, got into some good conversation about what to look forward to tonight. But Sam Amick dropped an incredible piece this morning in The Athletic. We will go through it. Also, ESPN with some reporting as well. I'm sure you are well aware of all that. Breaking news on the Kings coaching staff that we will get to. NBA finding DeMar DeRozan. No surprise there. Was it worth it? Yes. Why? It's not his fault. Give you that on the other side. And all of your phone calls. We are here for a couple of hours to tell us what you feel, what you expect tonight from the Golden One Center. De'Aaron took part in shoot-around. He's back in town. Wemby made the trip too. So we've got some audio there. We've got it all for you. Your calls, Royal Rumble Friday. Bring it. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's going to be a good show. Full coverage tonight of the Kings and the Spurs right here on the channel. But first, it's the Kings Court on If You Don't Like That.
Late nights on the screen, hey, it's Grant and Ryan. We bleed purple, talking hoops, never lying. Sacramento Kings, we rise and we fall. If you don't like that, then you don't know ball. Jerry sitting with the stories of the game, spilling all the truth, driving legends insane. From the Cow Palace days to Arco's roar, this town's heart beats on the hardwood floor. If you don't like that, turn away.
Will the beam be lit tonight? We
Feel
will
good about
see.
yourself, Ryan. You're just a part of the King's Court.
I love the King's Court, and all of you are part of the King's Court here on If You Don't Like That. Tons to get into the return of De'Aaron Fox, and why I feel like two things can be true at the same time. We'll get into that. We've got a ton of show for you, but like I said, I will break format. Call the show. Love to hear from you. All you got to do is hit the link that is in the chat. First-time callers, do not be shy. First-time callers have been taking over our shows the last couple of days. So we will get into everything. First and foremost, let's get to some of that breaking news that I was telling you about. It does affect the Kings coaching staff, and I am actually very, very happy for this individual. He deserves it. I think he greatly deserves it.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story.
Luke Laux is taking over the Florida State Seminole program. That's right. He is headed back to his alma mater to coach, succeed Leonard Hamilton over there, or Leonard Skinner, excuse me. Or no, Leonard Hamilton, I'm all mixed up. Look, it has been a day. I thought it was already going to be a crazy day with Fox coming to town, but everything else that's been going on, just nuts. So anyways, Luke Laux on his way to his alma mater. He will be the head basketball coach at Florida State. You know, Carmichael Dave's probably jumping up and down somewhere as well. Very happy for Luke. It's an obvious move. Why would you not jump off of this staff right now to go to your alma mater. Opportunities like that don't happen much. I know that Luke is connected somewhat with some of the coaches at SDSU. I know they corresponded in the past. A lot of coaches know each other. So congratulations to Luke. That is awesome. In terms of the timeline, I would expect it will be after the King season that Luke is taking over. Yeah, good stuff, Luke. Congratulations, my man. Very happy for him. But the man of the hour, the man of the day, as I put in or on the X earlier today, this is a game the Kings need to have. This is a game the Kings fans need to have more. I get it. I understand it. You've got De'Aaron Fox back in Sacktown. And by the way, he will get a tribute video. He is going to get a tribute video. No exact idea on when that's going to air. So we will keep you posted. I guess we really won't know. So let us know if you're going to the game, because that'll be nice. We want to hear from you after the show. Hell, call the pregame show and let us know what the atmosphere is like. I know it's a hot ticket, but we will be back here at 6:15 getting you ready for the game. Also trying to check in with as many of you as will be down there. So get in here. We'll get you set up and good to go. Halftime, Jerry Reynolds with us as always. And Napes and I break it down for you at the end of the night, taking your calls. Our shows have been going long because we have been getting so many callers, and we're really appreciative of it. The show has been really good as of late. So thank you all for that very much. No Domantas Sabonis, we know that. No Malik Monk as well. We'll talk about those two a little bit more as we get into the Sam Amick article and also the ESPN articles that dropped today regarding De'Aaron Fox's tenure here in Sacramento. We talked about DeMar DeRozan fined $25,000. I've got a little bit of a gripe with Doug Christie about that. We'll talk about it here in a little bit. And I hate saying this, but injury luck strikes again. Injury luck strikes again. The Kings seem to be the most fortunate team when it comes to this. Jalen Brunson went down last night in their overtime loss to the Lakers. Looked like a pretty nasty ankle roll, and I would be shocked, literally shocked, if Jalen Brunson was able to play on Monday here in Sacramento. No Jalen Brunson changes the entire dynamic for the Knicks, but remember, Josh Hart is one of those certified all Kings killers, so it's still not a game that you can take it easy, but the Kings got to get through tonight, which is the Spurs and De'Aaron. And let's not forget about Harrison Barnes, too. Harrison comes back again to the G1C. And last but not least, I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but I do want to acknowledge it. Draymond Green doing exactly what Draymond Green does with his platform. You saw him over the All-Star break. Well, in his latest bit of just idiocy, he claimed on his podcast that Cat missed the Warriors game because he didn't want to play against Jimmy Butler. Yeah, so Draymond's doing these things on purpose. I hope you realize that, because this is what Draymond wants. He wants his name in your mouth. He wants you talking about his shtick, his brand. Well, Cat did not miss the game because he didn't want to play against Jimmy Butler. He was at a funeral. He was excused from the team. So the problem that I have with this is anybody can crack open a mic. Anybody can do it. Get yourself a webcam, get yourself a streaming software, come up with a name, come up with a schedule, and you can host your own show, right? But it takes time to build credibility. And by no means am I anywhere in the sphere of some of these guys, especially those that have played in the NBA. But when you have people like Draymond Green that have huge platforms, it really hurts the smaller guys when you put misinformation out like that. I mean, really hurts. There's already this raging debate between credentialed and digital. having an association and building your own association. And so now it's reignited that entire thing about ethics. And I don't think Draymond really cares about ethics. I think Draymond cares about Draymond, both on the court and off the court. So a really bad move by him with all that. But all that said, I've given you a ton to talk about. King Spurs tonight. We're going to get into the Sam Amick article in The Athletic about De'Aaron Fox. It was a brilliant piece, and I give Sam all the credit in the world for going there, for walking up to the line. He did, and he did a great job. ESPN had some stuff too, and I'm sure many of you have read that. If you have reaction to it, let me know. Does it change how you see the situation with De'Aaron Fox and his exit here in Sacramento? The case that I'm going to make to you is two things can be true at the same time. Now, in one of those pieces, specifically the ESPN piece, it claims that there were 3 players that did not want Mike Brown to be the coach of the Kings. 3 players. The article claims 2. Well, excuse me. No, the article does not claim 2. De'Aaron talks about there's multiple guys in the locker room that did not want Mike to be the coach. Matt George went to the X platform and said 2 of those players are still on this roster. It's true. Matt is correct. So Sam has kind of opened up this portal where some of these things that Alex called last night and said, well, what are you holding back? What are you guys not telling us? What are you waiting for in terms of just letting things fly about what we're hearing? And Grant and I don't want to put Grant in the same boat as me. I will just come out and say it. We're hearing a lot of the same things from separate sources that we are plugged into that are very connected. But some of this information, it's like, okay, does it really change things right now? No, Mike Brown's no longer the coach of the team. But it does give you a glimpse. And if you read Sam's piece, specifically the instability, which is no surprise, the instability of this Kings franchise and the layers to it. I used the word layers last night on the Open Forum show before this article dropped. So incredible work by Sam Amick. Incredible work by Sam. Really happy to see him drop that. So if you have not read the article, it does require a subscription with The Athletic. We will read that, or at least read the important parts of it today. Let's get all of you up in here in the chat. Happy to have you. What you doing on this Friday here in the King's Court? Light the MF beam. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's a must win. No excuses. Well, if you're going to drop one, okay. If you look at the matchups, if you're going to drop one, it's not the end of the world, but from an aesthetic standpoint, from like the feeling in your gut, from a momentum standpoint, you can't have De'Aaron Fox come into this building and win tonight, especially without Wemby. So sorry, Keegan. I'm still booing Fox. Yeah, Keegan came out. We've got that as well. Keegan's close to Fox. Look, Keegan spent 2 summers with De'Aaron. Keegan was babysitting De'Aaron's kid. I get it. Everybody has an opinion. And I think that's why this is so interesting. Because coming in to today, I think the consensus, at least people that we have spoken to here on the channel that have called in, except Lamb last night. Lamb was making some points that Grant and I were having a little bit trouble connecting the dots. But basically, De'Aaron deserves all of the respect in the world and tributes in the world. Most fans were kind of on the opposite side of that. Remember the audio? This was when they put up the graphic for the Kings and the Spurs, and they included De'Aaron Fox in the graphic, something I don't think the Kings needed to do. I think the Kings were testing the waters, but this is how it sounded during the Charlotte game at a time, or during a timeout. Thank you, Kim. You and Grant are a joke. Well, I appreciate you watching me as a joke. Thanks for being here on a Friday. Hope your Friday's going well. Please answer if Rich Paul knows this place was a mess. Why did he let Zach LaVine come to Sacramento? I can't answer that. I am not an agent. I don't know what their ethical obligations are to their clients when they have multiple clients and conflicts of interest. I have no way of dicing that up. You would have to ask Rich Paul that. What I can tell you is Rich Paul 100% said during the All-Star break, San Antonio was actually his idea coming to San Antonio for De'Aaron. So you can't parse that up any different. He said that on a public platform. BJ, what is upper? Okay, what is upper? So happy to have today and tomorrow off. BJ, you work hard, my man. Enjoy your days off. What's up, Al? Taboo or not taboo? That is the question. Hey, you buy a ticket, you are entitled to do whatever you want as long as it is within the rules of fan conduct, especially if you're sitting near the court. It's going to be mixed. It's going to be mixed. Your season ticket holders, it's going to be the tale of two bulls. The people down low are going to be cheering mostly. The people up top are going to be booing. That's what I predict. And I think the booing will probably overtake the cheers. That's what I think. Now, both of these articles that came out today on The Athletic and in ESPN, I think were dropped today strategically, just like we saw after the Mike Brown firing. We saw that ESPN piece drop right before the Kings returned home for that, I think it was a 3 or 4 game stand. And everybody thought Fox was going to get it. In fact, Fox got some mixed boos. I asked Michelle Draper about that, and she said it was mixed. And that piece was supposed to take some of the onus off of the players. And I think both of these pieces really do shift the onus a little bit off of Fox and more on the organization. But I still think my argument is that two things can be true at once, and it doesn't exactly change my opinion on De'Aaron's last year and a half here. Maybe he didn't want Mike Brown fired. Yes, he said that he didn't request a trade, and I'm going to get into it here in a little bit, but there's some nuances here. So it's not as simple as, okay, I wasn't involved in it, but it definitely shines a brighter light on the franchise. It was something that I had been hearing, and it's something that I am so glad that Sam Amick put it in writing with his platform. It is worrisome. It's very worrisome. Tell me in the chat, did anybody read the Athletic piece? Are you familiar with the Athletic piece? Catching up on the Elimination Chamber. You're just doing that now? Interesting. Matthew, I've watched since 1998. Ryan, that Bianca hair whip shocked me. You know, it's not the first time she's done it. She did it. Hey, she did it to Sasha Banks at WrestleMania when she won the championship. In fact, the welt on Sasha's stomach was like 2 times the welt on Liv Morgan's. But yeah, that was brutal. Kim, and there is a reason that the Kings got rid of Grant. I used to listen to Grant all the time, but now both of you are a joke. Great, Kim. Keep watching. That's your opinion. Love it, hate it, you are still watching. So appreciate the feedback. John, I will cheer as loud as I can for Harrison Barnes. Yeah, right? What if Harrison Barnes is the one that comes in here? It drops 30. What would that look like? Sabonis sees JB balling now, and he's worried he's lost his spot. No, he does not. Not a chance in hell. He has not lost his spot. I do think that it opens up Doug Christie's eyes to a little bit of a different style that may be conducive for the entire roster. Something I've been saying for a minute. In fact, if you listen to what Jake LaRavia had to say after the game in Denver, I found it really, really interesting. Here was Jake. He said exactly what I said on the postgame show.
3 quarters, then there in the fourth, kind of the offense just kind of dried up. What stopped working for you guys there? Those about 8 minutes.
Yeah, I think it just got stagnant a little bit, like you said. Wasn't really flowing like it was the first 3 quarters, and then had to shoot some like late shot clock shots. Had some turnovers there late that didn't really help. Yeah, we just kind of went away from what was working for us the first 3 quarters.
Are there any positives you guys can take from this game? Obviously, you know, the loss stinks, but you guys did play pretty well for most of the game. What's kind of the takeaways for you guys for this one?
Yeah, I mean, we fought hard. We played hard. Thought we guarded Jokic as best as we could. We were physical throughout the whole game. Credit to them. They hit some shots. A lot of the guys that we were playing off of a little bit, trying to help on Jokic, but yeah, we'll learn from it. We'll get better, and we'll move on.
Yo, Kim, come on, let's bring it in. Let's bring it in. Then you and Grant make comments that the players have done some to you both. What are you talking about, Kim? You're making no sense. You made sense in your first couple comments. That makes 0 sense, Kim. If you pay attention to this show, if you have been around this show, I have made it crystal clear from day one that Grant is not one of the people that I am plugged in with around the Kings. Multiple people, Kim. So I don't know what you're trying to get at, Kim. You can keep doing your hating thing, but if you are going to come at my credibility, then I'm going to come right back at you. Because I like to play, I like to have fun, but my credibility, like, I don't know if you were listening to that whole Draymond thing that I started the show with. That's something I take serious. So if you want to poke holes at my credibility, put an actual example in there, Kim, about where I've been wrong. Hey, Kim, who was talking about the De'Aaron Fox situation coming to a head sooner rather than later this summer, Kim? Who was that, Kim? Who put out a tweet in June before the national media, Kim, that De'Aaron was not accepting the extension in part because he wanted to see how the roster develops, Kim? So if you want to come at our credibility, that's a whole different thing. You want to come at us as people, fine, no issues. You don't have to like us. I don't care if you like me. You're still watching, aren't you, Kim? So don't cross that line or I will block you. Unless you can put, you know what? I would not block you. If you can put an example, Kim, instead of throwing blanket, dumb-ass comments like that, Kim, come on, man. Do better. De'Aaron Fox, by the way, back at the G1C earlier today. He spoke to the media. Let's listen to a little bit of that. He was all smiles and joking around. De'Aaron Fox.
Welcome back. I'm learning a whole new group, man. It's a lot. Oh, I mean, I expected a good basketball game.
How about from a crowd standpoint?
I mean, I saw the boos, so it is what it is.
What would you say to the Sacramento fans now that you're back in town, and maybe your message to them?
For people that I've come across already, it's been a lot of love, and I really appreciate that. Obviously, I was 19 years old when I got here, so I was welcomed with open arms. So I definitely appreciate the time that I had here.
It wasn't really like a proper goodbye. Who do you want, maybe Kings fans, Sacramento, maybe even this organization to know?
I mean, that I was raised here. You know, I turned from a really young man to a young man that's raising a family, and like I said, I appreciate the time that I had here. I had a lot of fun here, so it's definitely not something that I take for granted.
What's the hardest part in dealing with all this?
The hardest part, moving. I mean, that's getting accustomed to a whole new organization, coaching staff, players, learning names. That's always the worst part for me. But I mean, having to pick up and move, halfway across the country is definitely the hardest part. But other than that, I mean, this is the business that we signed up for. So, you understand that happens.
Are there any misconceptions out
How
there?
much did you anticipate this return, knowing that you have to come back?
I mean, for me, at the end of the day, it's still basketball. You're going to play against a team that you've played for. So it's not. I don't know if I would say like it's something that I anticipated, but I mean, it's going to happen at some point.
Is it strange being back in this building on the other side?
The first thing that was strange was going to the Sawyer. I've never stayed a night there before, so that was definitely the weirdest part for me.
Is it cool having Wendy here to support you tonight?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we he's what he's going through is definitely tough, but for us, we just want him to be healthy. We want him to be healthy enough to be able to get on a plane and to be able to support us as a team, and that's what he wants to do anyways. So for us, it's just we want him to be as healthy as possible because blood clots can be a dangerous thing for sure.
Are there any misconceptions out there that you've seen that you maybe want to clear up?
I spoke my piece, so I'm done talking about it. I'm excited to be here, play in front of this fan base again, and see people that I know and love.
And that is what De'Aaron mostly had to say. I thought it was fine. You can talk about how he spoke his piece, per se. I mean, he has definitely spoken his piece through the media. He spoke to Sam, he spoke to ESPN. We've got the article from The Athletic up right now. If you are watching the screen, I thought a couple people got him hooked. That was the game for the longest time after he left. It's like, can we hook Fox on social media? Can we get him? And actually, Dave got a lot of run in Sam's article. They actually put the video up of some text that Dave had gotten with De'Aaron when he shared some information. I know that De'Aaron hooked up with another station as well. I'll just say this. That's always been De'Aaron's nature. He has been a little bit sensitive with the media. Just look through his Twitter timeline. You can always see when he snaps back, claps back a little bit. And I was on record this summer saying it was one of his best off season. When we came into the season and we were talking all summer, I said the Kings are focusing on controlling the controllables. Do you remember me saying free throws were one of the biggest focuses of the offseason? And that has carried over and carried true into the season. The Kings are number 2 now in the NBA in free throw percentage. And more importantly, the Kings free throw attempts, which from the Beam Team year to last year were down 21+%, are way up. They are up significantly. In fact, for the season right now, check this out. Right now, the Kings have attempted 1,311 free throws. For the season last year, they attempted 1,710. Made free throws are already almost at last year's number. Made free throws right now are at 1,061. Last year, 1,274, and you've still got 21 games to go. So, look, I think that the big problem here is the problem that everybody knows about. It's the organization. It's the way the organization is ran. Yet you have an owner that is a little bit sensitive, that hides, that doesn't always step in front of the camera, yet he wants to be seen everywhere. How does that work? You want to be courtside with a B-list celebrity. You want to show off your vacations. You want to talk about your story in parts on Instagram Reels. But when the rubber meets the road and a decision is made in this franchise, that guy never steps up to the podium. He has not spoken to the media since Mike Brown's firing. Vivek Ranadive. The whole Monty McNair situation, you almost feel bad for Monty in that. So we're going to get to this article in The Athletic, and I'm going to give you my take on why I think, again, 2 things can be true at the same time. Let's go to the phones for the first time today. I'm really hoping that it's Kim. I'm hoping Kim is on the line and she has an example. No! You know what? I'm okay with who's calling. It's Kevin Durant. What's up, KD?
Hey, Rhino, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, just a little under the weather, but I can't wait for tonight's game. I'll be attending, and I honestly can't wait for the post game show. Win or lose, I think the post game show for tonight is gonna break viewership records, in my opinion. I think there's gonna be a lot of people, win or lose. That's what I think. I'm really excited for the post game show because you and Grant you guys always know what you guys talk about. You guys speak the real, and I enjoy watching.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Where are you sitting tonight for the game?
I'm literally 3 seats, triple C. Triple C, row 120. It's like
Nice,
four,
dude.
4 seats away from behind the backboard.
Wow.
Behind the rim. Sorry.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the game and call us. Call us if you can. You're
Will
not
do.
driving.
Thank you, Rhino.
All right. Thanks, Katie. Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, we're expecting a good post game show tonight. In fact, it's so funny. I'm so glad that Kim came up in here because most of you that have been watching our programming consistently, you'll remember the post game show just a couple of nights ago where I asked Grant when he said Vivek has so many people in his ear. And I said, Grant, what do you mean? You talking basketball people in his ear? Grant dropped multiple names. Guess where all of those names show up? Kim, right here in this article. Kim. It's the last time I'm going to say your name, by the way. I'm sorry, Kim. My first high school girlfriend, her name was Kim, so I'm not really a big fan of that name. So I'm done with it. All right, so this was the article that, and we're gonna get back to your comments. If you want to call, we will break form and get to your calls as well. But I want to read some of this Sam Amick article with all of you. I think it's really important and prudent. I want you to see both sides of what has been going on and what Sam is reporting. And again, I thought it was an incredible piece. I'll try to get to the important part of it. It starts off saying that Doug Christie was calling Rich Paul, and Doug Christie is also associated and represented by Clutch Sports. After the Kings had had a few games, they were in the middle of that little winning streak. And Doug was peeking his nose in to see, is there any way, does this change things for De'Aaron? Would De'Aaron reconsider now that I am coaching the team? Rich Paul, 2 days later, and by the way, the conversation from Christie and Rich Paul made its way up through the organization. He shared it with everybody. So that conversation, leaked sources said, set in motion the official end of Fox's tenure as Christie ran the messaging up the ladder. Later that day, the Kings front office, Monty McNair and Wes Wilcox, called Paul to inform him they'd be entertaining trade offers. It didn't take long for the news to leak. Within a week, Fox was sent to San Antonio, his preferred destination. In a flash, one of the best players in franchise history was gone just weeks after his 27th birthday. On Friday, Fox returns. We know that 2 days after the Fox deal went down. The noise out of Sacramento bothered Fox enough to reach out to a handful of local sports radio personalities. We have hit that as well. His desire to depart, he had explained, wasn't about the fans or the market size or city he had come to embrace. It was about the lack of trust in those tasked with running the organization. Quote, everybody has the same story about the dysfunction, Fox tweeted, end quote. Then later deleted, quote, but yeah, it's my fault, end quote. Rewind back to this summer. The Kings had gone from 48 wins and the third seed in Brown's first season in Fox's lone all-star season to 46 wins and the ninth seed, a subtle dip with a significant consequence. They missed the playoffs, breeding organizational disappointment. But on the season's final night in New Orleans, Fox was clear with his messaging. There is a lot more stability than there was in the past, end quote. Fox said. We talked about the importance of stability over the summer. And I think Sam's going to get into that here when the Mike Brown extension talks came up. Not long after, Brown and the Kings entered negotiation talks on a contract extension. There was a level of hesitancy from the ownership side, in part, team and league sources said because of the opinion of Anjali Ran-Adive, Vivek's 32-year-old daughter, whose increased presence and perceived influence had been a major talking point in King's circles for quite some time. True. Do you know why largely she had to step down? She was the GM, by the way, y'all, in Stockton. I don't want to get into the details of the horrific tragedy that happened with a Stockton Kings player and his girlfriend murdering someone. After that, she left the organization to pursue a career and studies in law. Sam gets into that. Gabriel Harris, who did an excellent job, doing an excellent job in Stockton, took over last year as the interim GM. He is now the permanent GM in Stockton. He had been working with her prior to her exit, but Gabe's done an excellent job down there. I will tell you, most of the good things down there that are within Gabe's control are on Gabe, and he has knocked it out of the freaking park. Speaking of Stockton, Boogie Ellis traded. We'll talk about it later in the show. Ever since Ran-Adive, back to the article, ever since Ran-Adive bought the Kings in 2013, he has sought counsel beyond his own front office when it came to significant team decisions. There have been formal voices on that from NBA legends like Chris Mullin, Vlade Divac, and Joe Dumars, who were hired as Kings advisors and relied upon as older, wiser sounding boards. Former Kings coach Alvin Gentry, who brings 40 years of experience and has been a head coach 6 times, is currently in a similar position. There have been many others who were informal too, with John Calipari and the late Jerry West known to be among them. In the early years under Ran-Adive, his son Anil, who was heavily involved in the operation, the team's longtime chief operating officer, Matina, who we talk about all the time, has maintained significant influence for decades as well. Ditto for the team's longtime president of business operations, John Reinhart. Wow. This sort of approach isn't inherently problematic. Ran-Adive's version of it has often inspired confusion internally about the power dynamics and more specifically questions about whether the front office was truly being trusted to run the team as it related to Anjali, who can often be seen sitting front and center with her father at games. There is an added curiosity and concern in some circles about whether she might be on track to become the heir apparent at the ownership level. Fox was well aware of these dynamics, and when the time came for a final decision to be made on Brown, league sources said that the truth that bothered Fox most was that his voice had not been heard, nor his warning heeded. His warning was this: I didn't want to play for a different coach. During Brown's extension talks, the organization's waffling on the coach's future had reached Fox. Per league and team sources, the front office asked his opinion. Fox, who had 4 coaches in his first 7 seasons, was clear. He was a strong supporter of Brown's and had no interest in another coaching change. Fox had been asking for a structured environment with a level of accountability for years. It felt to him like they were building it After Brown was extended, Fox reiterated the stance publicly, quote, just having that stability helps in the long run, I feel like, end quote. He said, we'll get back to more on the article in a second. Let's go to the phones. Dennis, what's up, my man?
Yo, Rhino.
What's up,
going
brother?
down?
Happy to hear from you.
I'm ready. I'm ready to get this game over with like everybody else. It's just how do you say a chapter in our story for the season that needs to be completed right away. Obviously, a lot of emotions for this game. I mean, as a fan of this team and a fan of Fox, like I love everything he's done for this team, him and Mike Brown. I love everything they did for this team. But as we turn the page in this chapter, we have to move forward. And I really like what our team has to offer in the future. And I wish Fox nothing but the best. And I hope fans understand that. Like we can wish Fox the best, but not infringe on us lighting the beam. That's my thing. Like I still want to light the beam. You know, I want Fox to feel the fans like on the opposing end for once. You know, and that's no disrespect. Like I don't hate Fox. Like I'm not gonna burn Fox's jersey. Like that's crazy to me. Like that's the jersey I bought with Fox. That's sacred to me. That's gonna be there forever. Those cherished memories are gonna be forever. Fox didn't do nothing wrong. The organization didn't do anything wrong.
Whoa.
But whoa. Okay, go ahead, Brian. Go ahead. Push back.
You're saying the organization hasn't done anything wrong?
Well, I mean, in we put him where he wanted to go. We didn't
that's fair.
We didn't send him to the Washington Wizards.
But was it in the best interest of the organization?
Well, I mean, in keeping how do you say perspective in the sense of where we moved Fox to San Antonio, Rich Paul's agent, and we got a Rich Paul agent in return in Zach LaVine. So that's how I look at it. Like you want to keep everybody happy because I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's hard. Like we could have been selfish and be like, hey, we don't want to deal Fox to the Spurs because they don't have the best offer for us, right? And then that could have not entice Rich Paul to move Zach LaVine here. So in Monty keeping everybody happy, I felt it was the best move for everybody.
Okay. All right, Dennis. Well, we will I will marinate on that, as Adam Silver would say. I appreciate it, brother. How do you see tonight playing out?
Oh gosh, I can't wait to light the beam.
All right, for sure.
Love you.
Love you too, brother. Thanks for the call.
I want to let it marinate a bit.
I think I got to let his call marinate a bit because I love Dennis. I get where he's coming from. There's maybe not a more informed fan that I know than Dennis, but yeah, I think that one was a little bit more looking at it through the Fox colored glasses. You know, this is a basketball team that is looking to improve, that's looking to stay relevant, that is looking, Dennis the Menace, yes, looking to take the next step. But this article by Sam raises a lot of good points, and I'm going to continue with the article. We'll get back to your comments here in just a second. Again, if you would like to call the show, you can call right now, just like this guy. My man Todd, he called last night. It's great speaking to Todd. What's up, Todd?
Hey, what's up? I don't know if I'm coming on, which is better because I don't look good anyway. But you know, it's funny. There we go. I don't know if my camera's right. But okay, I'll be quick. I gave Darren a ride from the Hyatt to the stadium when I was doing some Uber part-time. When he had just got to town. He was a kid. And I told him, I said, listen, nobody's going to love you like this town. And he said something along the lines of, well, I'm getting that impression already. And, come on, can we just all grow up a little bit? Nobody knows exactly what went on behind the scenes. Nobody knows what's up with Paul. It's like big money, big decisions, wives are involved, kids are involved. It's done. If you guys want to boo him, boo him, but you guys just roll with it. Let's wish everybody the best. He gave us 8 years. I think for the most part, he laid us on the floor. And to me, this is all talking about practice, Ryan. You know what I mean? It's
What are we talking about,
let's talk
Todd?
about the game. And I think he was a great addition to the Kings. And let's wish him success in the future. And let's try to win our own games. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Appreciate it. Todd,
I'll
keep
talk
going,
to you
brother.
soon. Thanks,
Be
Ryan.
well. Our resident maitre d' from New York. I bet that guy's got some stories, some big time stories. All right, we're going to continue this article. I promise I won't bore you. There's a reason that I want to get this out to you. Sam wrote an incredible, in my opinion, incredible piece that really maybe some writers would not put out there. He's laying out some stuff about the organization that to this owner could come off as personal. Think about that. And he's spot on the money. So back to the article, a late game error against the Detroit Pistons punctuated a fateful 0-5 homestand in late December. A day later, after conducting practice, Brown was fired on his way to the airport for a road trip. Fox said he was at the UPS store dropping off a package when he received the news. In terms of timing and execution of the firing, this was a 101 course on how to alienate a superstar. Vivek greenlit the decision while on vacation in Cabo. He was there with Anjali and Jeremy Lamb. You remember Jeremy Lamb? He was a king at one point, then a Stockton king. And then he retired and began dating Vivek's daughter. The 10-year retired NBA pro who initially joined the Kings organization as part of the Domantas Sabonis trade in February 2022, and whose relationship with the owner's daughter became public knowledge last October. Anjali, who was once an aspiring pop star who would sometimes perform at the Kings games, was hired as an assistant general manager of the Stockton G League's affiliate, the Stockton Kings, in May 2022 and May 2023. She was elevated to the team's GM position. Lamb was a player on the team during that time, but her 6-month tenure in that role was marked by a tragic incident, which we have already talked about. She stepped down as GM less than a month later on January 19th, 2024, quote, to pursue a PhD and focus her attention on her nonprofit, Jaws and Paws, a team statement read. But Anjali still appeared to have influence throughout Sacramento's organization as she and Lamb became a more visible part of the Kings' decision-making tree. Early in the season, they were often spotted courtside next to Vivek in the the proverbial power seats at the games, and were believed by many within the organization to be gaining a growing influence in the bigger picture path forward. Quote, "We are all going to be working for Jeremy Lamb soon enough," end quote. One Kings employee joked to The Athletic at the time. Lamb no longer appears to be in the loop, but he was during the final weeks of the Brown era, and league sources said Fox was one of the many aware of the complicated and constantly shifting dynamics up top, all the while he was contemplating his long-term future with the franchise. Vivek still hasn't commented on the Browns' decision publicly. McNair, who league and team sources said was against the decision to fire Brown, wouldn't hold a news conference until 40 days after the announcement. Back to the phones. Matt, what's up, Matt?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yep, got you loud and clear, brother.
Gotcha, man. Just wanted to call in and say what's up. I've always called in.
Yeah,
Figured I'd say
appreciate you.
hi. Yeah, man. Sacramento. I'm 27 years old now. Grew up in Sacramento all my life. Moved out to Orange County for work recently, but me and my friends, we've always kind of had this same somewhat outlook. Kind of not on the Kings fan. Well, maybe more the Kings fan base. But I think sometimes we have an issue in our own fan base where we're so almost ultra positive with everything that we kind of we let things slide that shouldn't slide. And then we kind of get the same thing over and over again. And I've always seen that in management, and it seemed like since ownership, since Maloof's almost, it's just always been one thing after another.
Yeah, it's the classic thing that happens in a small market. It's the
Definitely.
big thing it's a big fish in a small pool.
Yeah, but
So
I mean, it
it's
totally
hard for it
makes
not to
sense.
be.
Kind of the Fox, I almost get the Fox love too because we get a star like that and we really hold on to him.
Yeah, but in this case, I don't think I understand that that's the formula for a small market team to have success. You have to hit it right in the draft and get one of those guys, Matt. I've said the Kings have never had one of those guys, and that includes De'Aaron Fox, that includes Chris Webber, that includes Mike Bibby, that includes Mitch Richmond, that includes DeMarcus Cousins. The Kings have never had that star. When I say that star, like Milwaukee has Giannis.
Yeah,
In
totally agree.
order
Like that
it,
Luka.
right. And so you end up in this position where you get, and I don't mean to call De'Aaron a second tier. Actually, no, I feel fine saying he's a second tier guy. He's a borderline all-star. He's been an all-star once, right?
Yep.
But if you put him anywhere else in a big market, he's probably a second option, maybe a third option if he was with like the Celtics per se, and he would not be a max pay guy.
Yeah, I mean,
So
that's why some of these reports almost contradict themselves because it feels like in Sacramento, he really, when Halliburton was here and everything else, he really wanted to be that one. But then he joins the team with Victor Wembanyama, which is like almost saying like, hey, I kind of want to be a two.
right. Exactly right. 100%. You hit the nail on the head. Hey, I appreciate you finally calling. Thanks for
Yeah, man.
watching the show. Call again.
Heck yeah.
All right, y'all. Get your earplugs ready. He's in Mexico. He might be partying right now. It's probably a couple of tequilas in. PK, what's up?
Hey, bad boy.
What's up, dude?
Hey, shout out to Wolfie in the chat. Stop crying, guys. Stop whining. What are we crying about? I agree.
Who's crying?
Listen. Stop with these negative freaking like headlines and all this stuff. We have a game coming up. Foxy's coming to town. Everyone relax. It's all good. What the last caller said, I think he's so right. I think he's like on point. I think Grant does not like Foxy, but the Foxy is a really, really good player. And I would boo the shit out of him because he's good. Unless you're good, you're not going to get booed. That's my kind of take. So I'm going to go drink some tequila, and you guys enjoy your day.
Hey, PK.
What?
Have you found any of the tequila bottles with worms or scorpions in them?
No, I don't drink. I got to do work, bro.
You just said you're gonna be drinking tequila.
Yeah, after work.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah.
that you offered somebody a girlfriend in the chat. So again, is your work
Offered a
legal?
girlfriend. Hey, wait, plenty of girlfriends over here in Mexico. Come to Mexico if you want a girlfriend.
One and only PK. What can I say
Bye.
about this guy? Later, dude. You guys think PK's got the international plan on his phone, or do you think he just paid like $20 for that phone call? I love PK. No, look, this is not crying. It's not crying. It's giving you a glimpse inside to the freaking tornado that is constantly switching directions within Kings management. It's not allowing people to do their jobs. It's taking advice and involving people. In this case, Jeremy Lamb reportedly, now Anjali, growing influence. So really, I mean, if you read Sam's article, you're thinking she stepped down because of what happened in Stockton, the murder, as the GM to pursue her nonprofit, but really indirectly was promoted to having a say, having a voice. If you're Monty McNair, like I'm thinking about this, if you're Monty McNair, if you're De'Aaron Fox, this is what you do. This is what you've built your life around, and you're not being consulted. But the singer, GM, nonprofit runner is in dad's ear along with boyfriend Jeremy Lamb. I get it. It's a snapshot, and Grant doesn't hate Fox. That is such a BS misconception. In fact, I'm going to tell you why two things can be true at the same time, and I'm going to tie together why I feel the way I feel about De'Aaron Fox and him returning to Sacramento. Andy, what's going on today?
What's up, Rhino?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Honestly, I watched the Sacktown Sports this morning. And they pretty much went over both the articles from
Yeah.
ESPN, all that. And honestly, man, I gotta say, I am 100% on Fox's side here. I just feel like, and I'm a Kings fan too, obviously, but I can honestly put myself in his shoes with all the dysfunction over the years. You know, his fifth head coach in 8 years. Obviously he's not a perfect player by any means, but just, it's like he wanted Mike Brown to stay. He told the organization, like, I want stability. And then obviously, they have the rough stretch. Mike Brown needed to go. But once they fired him, he was pretty much like, well, my time here is done. Like, I can't see myself like getting another coach, going through this whole process again, learning a new system again. And I honestly feel for the guy. And I obviously the media is going to try to paint a picture of like he forced his way out and stuff like that, but ultimately, like, if you're a all-star caliber player and you're in your prime and you hear these reports about, Vivek's daughter and who's really calling the shots, and
Well,
then
it's not.
also
That's the point. It's not reports. He's getting no clarity
Mm,
inside the building, but he's aware that all these other people are in on these decisions. And the fact that Monty did not want to fire Mike Brown, but
mhm.
had to come out publicly and say, "I convened meetings around firing Mike Brown." When Monty finally spoke to the media, we said he fell on the freaking
Sword.
sword. He
Yeah.
knew he was going to be just tomatoed by everybody, pancaked. And he was, and that's why you saw the way that Monty was acting. You saw like the non-committal because he doesn't even know. It's crazy.
And
This, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, and Fox also was like stating, you guys fire a coach and then you don't go to the media. Well, if you don't go to the media, all of the media is going to just assume, well, Fox is the best player. They butted heads, so Fox got him fired. And that's exactly what happened. Like a lot of the people in Sacramento and a lot of the fans, they just assumed that they didn't get along, they didn't see eye to eye, so they
Okay.
chose Fox over Brown. And that makes Fox look bad too. And it's not even his decision.
Okay, so I think that you bring up a very, very important point and a very important distinction, and I'm going to get into that in a second. I don't think De'Aaron did himself any favors with the media, with the relationship with Mike Brown. And I know that's a two-way street. Mike Brown talked down to this team constantly through the media. When you say somehow, some way, you're saying that it's going to take a miracle. You're going to say what I'm working with is not good enough. Like somehow, some way. That became like one of his taglines, right? And so De'Aaron, conversely, you know, they went back and forth in the media. And so there were missteps on both sides. And understandably, Mike was digging his heels in because he had a brand new extension. There's no, okay, fire me. You're still going to pay me $30 million. And De'Aaron is digging his heels in because he thinks it's his team. Now, I think that that type of butting heads is completely normal. But here's the thing, it happens behind the scenes, it's not done in the media. So nobody took the higher road. They just kept going back and forth, Mike and Foxy. Even though they're both cool with each other, somebody should have just pulled the other to the side and said, you know, can we stop this in the media? That's all good in practice. Don't try it in the media. And from the start of this season, even with Malik Monk, after the second preseason game, when these guys had like a 20% shooting performance from beyond the arc, and Malik's like, well, it's because we're tired. That had been a whole narrative for the first year of Mike Brown's tenure about, well, is Mike overworking and over practicing these guys? And so then Mike's blindsided in the media about that. Malik just said that he thinks the guys are tired, and that's why we're shooting poorly.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all this stuff. These guys got too comfortable with each other and it caused rifts. And what I said 2 days ago before these articles came out, that the crack starts at the top and works its way all the way down. It's exactly what has happened. And it's never been more fractured than it is right now in that building.
No, I agree with you 100%. I also saw another quote from Fox. He said that like he was one of the people that over the summer he wanted them to extend Mike Brown for that
Correct.
for that stability aspect. But then he also said, I won't say who, but some of the other teammates, they didn't want him to be the coach. They wanted to fire him. So
Correct.
I don't know if you heard the same reports, but that Domas and Mike Brown kind of didn't see eye to eye, and so maybe in a way, by letting Mike Brown go, they also made that decision for Fox. Like they're gonna end up parting ways with him too, because he made it very clear in that quote. He said, "I'm not going to play for another coach, but I'll go play for another team." So you have to think, okay, if we fire Mike Brown, that probably also means we're going to lose Fox too.
There were 3 players, 1, 2, 3 players that did not want Mike Brown back. 2 players are still on the roster.
Interesting. And you don't know who they are, or you do know who they are?
There's 2 players still on the roster.
Well, it's not Kevin Herter. We know that much. I mean, I could see it being Keegan and Domas because of how hard Mike Brown pushed Keegan, but I could also see it being Malik. Like not starting Malik. Keep bringing him off the bench, and then I don't know. It just kind of depends. And also Malik's comments after Mike Brown did get fired, he was kind of just like, "Yeah, Doug Christie's a player, so he kind of talks to us different, and we vibe with him more." It kind of gave me, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, I appreciate the call. Good job, Andy.
Yes, sir. All right,
As
man.
always. Alex asked me last night. He called into open forum. And he's like, you keep alluding to like, there's more context to all this, but it's not the right time to talk about it. This is exactly what I was talking about. It just so happened that it dropped in ESPN today. There's no use of having this conversation, number one, because Mike Brown is no longer the coach and De'Aaron Fox is no longer here. There's no use in stirring that pot, but now that pot is stirred. And in fact, Matt George has even said the same, that 2 of the 3 players are still on the roster. So that is part of what I was alluding at in the last month and a half with this team. Now, the 2 players, you guys can do your own work on that. But yes, you can. There's a lot of things that you can read into, okay? Because if the communication is so poor that De'Aaron was not even clued in on anything, he found out, he didn't have a voice, even though he put it out there to this front office. Well, I'm not even going to say this front office, to the team, that he did not want to play for another coach, right? Don't you think you might want the player's input, or at least give the player a heads up? Might be a good idea, right? Well, they didn't. Okay? They didn't. So if you're De'Aaron, you're thinking, all right, well, did they talk to anybody else? Huh, weird. You start looking at the dynamics. Well, Sabonis makes more money than me. I wonder if they talked to him. Maybe this move was for Domas. And these are all hypotheticals. But do you see the thinking that can happen? Especially in a situation, if you are De'Aaron Fox, if you know and you are clued in that Anjali and Jeremy Lamb are involved in basketball circles and decisions within this team, would it be that far-fetched to think that the team would have talked to somebody else on the team? No, it's not. It's crazy. Now, here's why I think that 2 things can be true at the same time. I do not blame De'Aaron for wanting out. I don't blame De'Aaron. I think De'Aaron, one thing that we are not looking at as fans is that De'Aaron could have played this much differently. De'Aaron Fox could have strung the Kings along. He could have said, hey, you know what? I'm just waiting on the Supermax. I'm confident that I am going to be an all NBA player. That's the only reason I am not re-signing right now. Right? He could have said that knowing that he had no plans to re-sign. He made it clear on Draymond Green's podcast that the organization, it was on them to make improvements. Show me some structure. Show me that this team, not just on the court, but this team behind the scenes in the front office, this team in the ownership suite, can come together and open the door to a championship window. Show me that there is a reason I should spend my prime here in Sacramento. Came out and said all that, right? Well, the Kings could have bent over backwards and made moves trying to accommodate that. The Kings could have been like, all right, you know what? Let's pull the trigger on Keegan Murray. Let's do that. That's gonna get Cam Johnson back, right? That'll work. That'll probably help this team out. You know, what do you think we could get for Malik? Actually, no. Could we trade Devin Carter? The Kings could have made all of these other moves trying to satisfy De'Aaron, and De'Aaron could have been slow playing them the entire time. So now you're in a situation, Ryan, you don't have an answering machine. No, I do not. I do not have an answering machine. So De'Aaron, for his part, at least his team said, we want to be moved. And they did it in a timely fashion. They didn't string it out, and they didn't let the Kings pull apart the core of this team besides De'Aaron to try to improve the team to keep De'Aaron here. So I respect De'Aaron for that. Let's get to the phones really quick. Baki, what's going on today?
Hey, what's up right now?
What's up, buddy?
I ask you something. It's not that I will ask you. Add to your. Uh, you mentioned the thing about the Aaron and the Brown. The only thing, since I know about NBA and I'm following it 30 years and more, the thing that are people talking here always when it comes to the coach is always how far coach can go into composing a team and doing the things in the game, like calling the plays and doing the stuff like tactics and etc etc. So why did Mike Bay's finished with the Kings now is big question. I was you know my opinion before. I was on 50-50. Should you sack the guy or not? Is he the one who is guilty about those kinds? So now we're talking about Fox and his behavior with media, with the team, with the coach, and everything. So it comes in the first in what I think that he is not respectable as he should be, and he should have been in previous years with Sacramento. And if that was the case, that he was the main thing that's always bothering me is players in NBA are protected like polar bears. And what I'm saying, they have
Polar
their
bears?
contract. That, yeah. Did I say
All right.
something wrong?
No,
That
I just
that
think it's a funny analogy. Polar bears.
that's how we say in Serbia when somebody is protected to the bone. You say he's protected like polar bears, so you cannot do anything about it. So that's the phrase we're using. But in reality, NBA players are with the big contracts and with the minutes. The problem is we have in Europe. You have the greatest coaches right now is in Belgrade. It's Jelko Obradovic, and they know about him. A lot of coaches, and Van Gundy talked about Obradovic a lot in previous TNT game, maybe 2 weeks ago, not previous. So you can have the Aaron Fox, you can have DeRozan, you can have LeBron James, you can have whatever player you want in the team. If whatever he did in the previous minute or second, he will be on the bench, and Grant knows about it. And that's what I like in the sport. I mean, coach is always been in the top of the players. So if the player is behaving bad or whatever bad decision on the court, you go to the bench. And that's why I always respect, and that's why we have the best coaches, they say, on the world. So I don't know, they don't do with NBA a lot, but it's very different I should say different, maybe not only behavior, but it's a mentality thing. If you have the Aaron Fox can do whatever he wants to do on the court, and all the other stars. Can JJ Redick say something to LeBron James? No, he can just okay. LeBron will draw the tactics. LeBron will decide who will play, who will not. I mean, you cannot see on the TV, but that's the thing. That's the point. So I don't see the difference in Sacramento. I, I believe that Fox was the same in Sacramento. He did whatever he wants to do, and maybe that creates some kind of problems, chemistry inside the team and inside the plays and everything what happened. So now is other thing. I don't know what kind of relations is between Doug and the players, but that's one topic which is always interested me. What is the real behind the scenes, real, I should say, uh, what is the role? What is the real role for the coach in the team and the staff? And you have the staff, you have the hands. Take a look at Jeff Van Gundy. He's the main guy in the defense in his team. So a lot of people are asking something to do with the
He's doing a
team. I
great
mean,
job.
one is doing the great job. One is for the defense. One is for the crucial things. One is for the tactics. Blah blah blah. But I think that players should not be that much protected as they are. I mean, you have in NBA, every player has his minutes guaranteed, and that's something what I don't like. Uh, Yesterday or the day before, we had a caller who said, "Why didn't you put Laravia play more minutes?" And my question is the same: Why not? The guy deserves to play whole the game. You can that game against Denver. You can ask Laravia, okay, Laravia, how many minutes you want to play? If you want to go 40 minutes, go 40 minutes. No problem. If you are hot, you're hot. If you have the feeling that night, you got the feeling. So go and use it. Don't put Laravia on the bench because he is a reserve. Don't do that. I mean, this is something what I don't understand and I will never understand. So it's the same with that was the same case with Bobby Jackson back in 90s. So you have strict minutes which he is around maybe 3-4 minutes on and you put the guy out. Okay, we know the rule, maybe not official, but unofficial rule. After first timeout, you change the players, right? So first 5-6 minutes you got with the starters, okay, no problem. But all after that first timeout, you're on your own. You're the coach. You make decisions. If Laravia is great, put him in the game. Don't put him in the bench because he's bench player. That's not so. You called off the guy, and what you got in fourth quarter, you got normal Laravia, and not the good one. And that's the same way you create the players. You make from the players better players on the game and better persons. I mean, they will respect you as a coach. They will respect the game, and they will be better in the game. So, what's the point of keeping? It's the same thing with Ellis. Have Ellis that minutes on the bench. Put the guy to work in the no matter who is the starter or not. You that's the changeable variable, I will say. So that's what
All right.
bothered me the most.
Appreciate it, brother. Thanks for sending me that picture, by the way. That guy really broke his hand.
Crazy stuff. It was
Crazy stuff.
like snap.
Crazy.
Now you
All
see
right,
it,
man.
now we don't.
Well, I'm sure we'll be talking after the game. Appreciate you, Baki.
Bye.
Good stuff from Baki. A lot of mixed opinions on this man tonight, De'Aaron Fox, making his return to the Golden One Center, a Kings game that they have got to have, one that is more important on the emotional. Now, every game's important this time of year, but emotionally, momentum-wise, fan base-wise, it's one that you got to have regardless of the Kings being without Sabonis and without Malik Monk. Now, before Baki and Andy called, we were talking about De'Aaron Fox. We were talking about the Sam Amick article and why and how De'Aaron exited and how it could have been worse, how he could have done the Kings way worse than some Kings fans feel that he did. It was not De'Aaron Fox's decision to be traded to San Antonio. He asked to be traded to San Antonio. The Kings did not need to send him to San Antonio. We need to draw a line between those two things, number one and number two. You cannot hold De'Aaron Fox accountable for ending up in the place that he wanted to be. He is entitled to say, yes, if you are going to trade me, these are my preferred destinations. Now, the Kings have no loyalty or duty to honor those. They should take the best deal possible. So as it goes for De'Aaron asking out, as it goes for De'Aaron no longer being a Sacramento King, as it goes for the entire way that situation plays out, I will say this. I have no problem with how it was handled on De'Aaron's side. I have zero issues with how it went down. In fact, if that was solely the thing that I am going off of to make my decision whether I'm going to boo De'Aaron Fox or not, I would have no reason to boo him. Now, there's another side to the coin, and that's my opinion. Let's go back to the phones really quick. BJ calling in, and then I'll finish my thought. I always break my thoughts for you. So, BJ, what's up, dude?
What is going on, guys? It's so nice to be able to hear you guys and not have to go back and hear little excerpts of you guys. Man, sounds like I've missed a lot. You know, it seems as though we seem to be talking about a lot of symptoms. You know, when there's a disease, when there's cancer, when a body is really ill, and you're septic and about to die, you're talking about fevers and a bunch of, shivers and whatnot. And those are symptoms of something much, much more problematic. You know, we're talking about Fox, we're talking about Jock Sniffer Vivek. And I think that's really the deep-seated issue and disease here. And so as fans, and there's a lot of fanatics, and I love the Kings and the Sacramento vibe and the intelligence that the Kings fans bring. I think we're just going to have to ride this out. I mean, it's kind of a joke to hear that Vivek would take plays from a third grader and hopefully try to use those plays. It's kind of a joke to hear that a 32-year-old pop star that I don't know if she's played any basketball or anything has any say in things. But it all kind of makes sense when you hear the redheaded stepchild of Suttown talk about the things that he's been around. And it's not that, I'm going to go off on a little tangent on Kim. You just come in here and start talking smack about Rhino and Grant. But there's a difference between being paid and just being a homer and just trying to see everything through a purple lens. There's some clarity and stuff that we as a fan base get to hear the true authentic feelings and experiences that Napier's been through. So I don't think Grant hates Fox. I don't think Grant hates the Kings organization. What I think Grant's big gripe is the way things are operating. There's a certain way that you go about business. And as fans, we're just going to have to realize, I mean, we can't trade Vivek. I would have liked to have kept Fox and Brown and traded Vivek.
Really quick, BJ, let me jump in really quick because
do.
Grant doesn't. How many times does he preface this and nobody, or the people that should be listening, they decide not to listen? He hates the way it's being ran, not because of the organization, because of the byproduct that all of you get as fans. That's what he doesn't like. And Grant freaking named 3 of the 4 names in this article on the post-game show a couple of nights ago when I said, Grant, well, who's Vivek talking to? 3 of the 4 names in this article, Grant said on the damn show. Go ahead, BJ.
Yeah, I think the Kings, I mean, a lot has happened. You know, Vivek helped to keep the Kings, and the Sacramento town, the city helped to keep the Kings too. But we're going to have to understand and somehow bite the bullet on this one, just kind of like how the Dallas Cowboys fans are with Jerry Jones. You have someone that's very, very involved and kind of over their head in running an organization. And it's kind of sad to see. I feel bad for Fox, but I'm a Kings fan, so I'll boo him. I'll be there and I will boo him. It's just the way things. Another thing is how can lawyers and agents run a league and basically drive the league to where it is right now, and they wonder why the viewership is so down. Even the style of the game has been changed by what agents perceive what everybody likes. So the game will always endure, but the NBA and these other leagues, they're going to have to catch up to us as fans, I believe. We're the ones that are paying for the product. So I feel bad for Fox in a way, but if you look back a year and a half ago, towards the middle of last year, his body language was starting to show little signs of not a team.
Yep.
Of not deferring to Sabonis in some aspects, of Monk outplaying him, and him. You can even see that may have bothered him a little bit. We have a lot of fans, and you can cut me off anytime, Rhino. I haven't been on for a while, but cut me off when you want. We have fans that would like to trade someone like Keon. It's like, how would you trade your best two-way player? I mean, Keegan Murray. I wouldn't trade Keon Ellis either, but Keegan, I wouldn't trade him. He's an unbelievable defender. Of course, the offense has struggled a little bit, but you got to remember he is defending generally the best player on the opposite team. So it's like those guys don't come around too much. So I'll cheer for Barnes. I'll boo every time Fox catches the ball when he gets announced. But I'm a Kings fan. I'm a fanatic. I know basketball, and I do know that this is a much deeper problem than Fox and players. This is an ownership. This is in the root, and the only way we can kill the plant is to get rid of the root. So we're just gonna have to endure. We're gonna have to just endure these symptoms of fevers and chills and all that, and hopefully we can put something together. Hopefully Levine could make some good basketball decisions and know when to defer, and hopefully Doug Christie can still hype him up, because it seems to be working so far. I don't know how much longer it could last. So I love you, Rhino. Love you, PK. Love you, Flores. Mr. Asparagus, Finch. Love you, Furious. Dennis. I know Dennis. The funny thing about Dennis is that he's got all these great takes. He's deep into the sport, and he's deep into the Kings. And I love his political type of take where the organization didn't do anything wrong. Fox didn't do anything wrong. Nobody did anything wrong. I don't know what Dennis has been drinking today, but I want some of that. So I will I will stay on the line. Love you, Adam. And is Corn Dog's hibernating, huh? He's waiting for women's volleyball to come back. I haven't seen Corn Dog in a while. And what about Haunted? Is Haunted still alive, or is he counting his Safeway points? What's up with the?
I've seen him in the chat. He's kicking. Corn Dog gave us his combine updates earlier this week. So
that's right. He does that stuff.
He's deep in the combine. So, dude, love you. Good job.
Love you too. Take care.
Great job by BJ.
Success.
In fact, BJ leads me into where I was going. So sorry, I break my thoughts to get you in. If you call, I will get you in. I laid out why I would not boo Fox for his exit here in Sacramento. Now, let me lay out the other side of the coin, and BJ started to hit on it perfectly. In fact, BJ was hitting the nail on the head. During De'Aaron Fox's time here in Sacramento, what was one of the things that he was known for that some of you have put in the chat? Don't piss him off. Don't piss off De'Aaron. You're gonna wake up De'Aaron. He's gonna go off. It's a tagline with the announcers. Mark Jones talks about it all the time. You don't want a mad Fox, right? De'Aaron Fox has been sensitive. He is sensitive. You saw him respond to the media after his exit and then walk it back. You saw him call into other shows. And he wants, I think, to be liked. He wants to be accepted. I think he loves this city a lot. Now, there's two sides of that. when you are sensitive. There's the don't piss me off because I'll go off. And there's also, all right, if you're gonna do that, if you're not gonna keep me in the loop, then I'm just gonna shut down. This thing goes back a year and a half with De'Aaron Fox. It goes back, as BJ said, to last season where he went 16 days without talking to the media. 16 days. It was on one of the Kings' longer road trips. None of the Sacramento media was traveling with them. He didn't speak to the media because of a miscommunication about who was supposed to speak at the podium after one of the games. A game where the Kings did not play very well. A game where they ended up with Kessler Edwards at the podium. And I believe Kessler only played a couple minutes of garbage time. So it was a bad look for the team. Now, Sam Amick's article today lays out perfectly the chaos. As BJ just said, you got to get to the root of the problem. You have to understand that De'Aaron Fox was operating, he was dealing with the root. He was right there in the heartbeat of the fracture that starts all the way at the top and runs right down to the guys on the team. You've got two choices. You either suck it up and say, all right, I'm going to be the one that makes the change, and I'm going to do that with my play. Or you pack it in and you pout. You know those 16 days that De'Aaron did not speak to the media? Do you know his numbers dropped significantly during that time? Assists dropped almost 50%, scoring almost 40%. Last year, we saw a De'Aaron Fox that relied mostly on his three-point shooting. When his greatest skill, his greatest talent is getting to the hoop. And this is also after he signed with Rich Paul in Clutch Sports. What is Clutch Sports all about? Clutch Sports is about longevity. You know why it's about longevity? They want to be here. They want to run basketball, as some of you have said, calling in. It's a problem. You know who else is about longevity? LeBron James. He's the picture-perfect model of how long you can play this game if you take care of your body and you play the game a certain way. And with longevity comes more money. Asking De'Aaron Fox to take the ball inside and get beat up night in and night out for a team that he has no idea what direction it's going, whether they're going to back him up or not, whether they're going to be contenders or not, that's a big ask of De'Aaron. But when you are getting paid the money you are getting paid, you can't just pack it up and decide to change your game. And De'Aaron's game changed dramatically last year. He is a big reason why the free throw attempts were down dramatically. Now, let's fast forward to this year. At times, we saw flashes of De'Aaron Fox. His 60-point game followed up by a 49-point game. We saw Luke Laux challenge him to get to the paint. We knew De'Aaron could still do it. But it was infrequent. It was when you pushed him. In other times, we saw De'Aaron that would be quiet all game, and then garbage time came around, and he filled the box score up. So all the Fox fanatics are out there, well, hey, De'Aaron just scored 31 points. See, he's a number one. He's a number one. He deserves a Supermax. No, did you see when the points came? Did you see how the points came? Quite frankly, you saw a De'Aaron Fox on the court Quit doing what he does best. And for this team to have a shot to win a championship, to have a shot to make the playoffs, everything needs to break exactly right, which includes De'Aaron's piece of the puzzle. I don't believe De'Aaron did everything he could. I think De'Aaron did not leave it all on the court. I think De'Aaron had checked out. Now, he still played in the games. He played with his finger hurt. He didn't sit out, but he was not De'Aaron Fox. Now, let's get to the Detroit game. De'Aaron Fox quit on his team that night. When he fouled Jaden Ivey, 4-point play in a 3-point game, and he was nowhere near the ball and his defender, when the only thing that can beat you is a 3-pointer. And then you foul Jaden Ivey. And by the way, Mike Brown and Luke Laux, all they said in the huddle, don't leave your man. Don't leave your man. De'Aaron was dealing with all this, but instead of pushing the noise out and saying, I'm not going to let it affect the way that I play and I operate, he packed it in. He let it affect the way that he played, he operated. I don't believe that De'Aaron Fox gave his entire game to this team because this team was not giving him, this ownership group was not giving him respect, was not cluing him in, was not treating him like a star, was leaving him in the dark. So instead of rolling your sleeves up to your freaking neck, De'Aaron did the opposite. He packed it in. You got 75% of De'Aaron Fox the last year and a half. That, to me, is not okay. De'Aaron Fox stepping to the podium before the Detroit game, after practice, and saying, we're going to need help. This is now out of our hands. There were over 50 games left in the season when he said that. De'Aaron Fox spouting off back at Mike Brown through the media instead of going to the coach. De'Aaron Fox calling out his teammates indirectly and calling out his coaches indirectly from the podium. The passive aggressiveness that I am not saying isn't fair. That passive aggressiveness, I understand where it's coming from. It just so happens that it can't translate to the court, and it did for De'Aaron, and it all culminated in that game versus Detroit. When De'Aaron said, when he was asked what happened on that last play, said it really isn't going to matter, doesn't change anything. He quit. That is why I would boo De'Aaron Fox. It's not about his exit from Sacramento and how that happened. You did not live up to what you put your name on the paper to do. You were not all in when you signed 2 of those banners, 3 of those banners that Mike Brown had everybody sign. You signed that and you were not all in. Now, publicly, you wanted to make it seem like you were all in. You said the right things. You did the right things. It was passive aggressive. You shut down. You let the shitty ownership and all the internal problems crack you. You cracked under pressure. You let the fans that pay a lot of good money, hard-earned money, to come see you play. You did not give them everything that they paid for. And it wasn't a one-night thing. It was over a year and a half. When times got hard, De'Aaron Fox didn't get harder. He pouted. And it translated to the media, and it translated to his basketball game. And it is as clear as day when you sit back and look at it. So for me, that is why I would boo De'Aaron Fox. I can't cheer somebody that quit on his team, that didn't try to find another way to motivate his team and bring his team together. There's examples of this throughout his tenure in Sacramento. The Halliburton situation. Think about that. He quit on the team. That's why Sacramento had to get him out so quick. You don't think Monty McNair wanted to wait for a better deal? Sure, you could probably have made it work in the locker room and dealt with the distractions. But once that trade deadline passes, it's not going to be that big of a distraction because he can't be traded. But you can't have a guy in the locker room giving you 75% when he is opposite a guy that gives you 110% every single night. You can't have it. Do you understand how it sticks out like a sore thumb when you pack it in and you're playing next to Domantas Sabonis? It doesn't take a genius or a Jerry Reynolds to recognize that. So that's why I say there are two sides to this. Two things can be true at the same time. Your reaction now. Let's go to the phones. Let's bring in Alex. What's up, Alex?
What's going on right now? How you doing?
Good. How you doing, brother?
Good, good. So real quick, that was a hell of a rant you did. I don't know if you want to do Rhino's rant or whatever. I know that's not a thing yet, but that was a hell of a rant. So
Thanks,
kudos
brother.
to you on that one. But yeah, a lot to unpack today. Obviously, you hit a lot of it on the head. I mean, the more that comes out, I still have more questions. I'm getting answers, but I still have more questions. And it seems like both sides are to blame. Nobody's innocent in this
100%.
situation. Yeah, no one's innocent. And I was for, a long time a big Fox supporter up until recently. And if I was there, I'm not going to be there tonight, but if I was there, I would boo. And I've changed my stance on this stuff just because of what's transpired and what's come out. And yeah, I can see both sides of the coin. Yes, I can see that management isn't great. I could see even when Malone said, no balls, no, whatever he said, that was true. I agreed with him on that too. So all on that side, I can see where Fox felt alone or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, to me anyway, Fox acted a little too entitled on it. Yeah, we're not the best organization in the NBA, but there's only 30 of them, and we're not the Pelicans who have 5,000 people, if that, in attendance. We have one of the best attendance rates in the NBA, fully supporting him and all that. So it's pretty bad when we're like a lunch pail type team supporting our squad, and we have a guy that's not putting in 100%, taking accountability, and it rubbed me the wrong way for sure.
No doubt. And again, the Kings were clearly better when De'Aaron has an advantage that nobody in the NBA has with his
Yeah.
speed. De'Aaron's speed is at a different level. De'Aaron is the fastest person I've ever seen with a basketball. And the fact that you're not using that, that's like asking Domas not to rebound. It's just hard to wrap your arms around. You understand it's a hard situation, but guess what? There are no easy situations in pro sports. Bill Simmons is putting out right now on HBO this entire documentary piece in parts or in episodes about the Boston Celtics and how they got to all of their championships and the bumps in the road. Every organization deals with stuff. Now, I will acknowledge this one's a little bit different. I think Vivek is near the top of the worst owners in the NBA, but you can't quit on your team, Alex. Like, you're getting paid too much money. You just can't do it.
No, 100%. And again, let's say he's in the top 5 worst ownership, as you said. Let's just say that's what the case is. 1 through 5. I'm not sure which one it is. But again, it goes back to me on the fan base. We're very high on merchandise sales and very high on attendance rate. So again, we're not the Pelicans or the Jazz that's not showing support like that. And I'm not trying to throw shade at those teams, but I'm just giving you facts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, and so again, that's why it rubs me and probably a lot of other fans that really supported him the wrong way. It's like, bro, you can't give up like that when we're there all the time. I've been to 3 games already this year. I'm sure everybody in the chat's been to a few games, and again, it's always pretty much sold out. Unlike a lot of other teams, too, we're there to support. That's the only show in town, basically. Probably why we're so glued and connected to this team. And but again, I kind of feel like this Fox stuff is just, I'm kind of ready for it to be over with, to be honest. Like I said, if they play the video, you said they're playing a video, play it, cheer, boo, whatever, play the game. I think we're going to win by 15 or 20. Fox will get himself 15 or 20, and then it'll be over with. Because again, we're in the big picture now. We're trying to make play-in/playoffs. I don't think they're in the running for it. But as far as the other stuff that came out, the Mike Brown stuff, it said something about 1 player not being on the team that didn't support him, and then 2 on the squad. Am I paraphrasing it correctly?
So there were 3 players that.
Yeah.
So when you asked this question last night,
Oh, yeah.
this is what I was talking about. There's
Perfect,
3 players that did not want Mike Brown back. Now, and I think it's important to acknowledge that's not an uncommon thing. Not every player's gonna love the coach. Find me 1 team where guys unanimously were behind the coach or didn't have an issue with it. But now 2 of those players still remain in Sacramento that weren't on board with Mike.
Okay, and to me, yeah, to me that makes it kind of easy. One, you have to assume it's Kevin Huerter, the one that's not on the team because he wasn't getting a lot of run, and he kind of showed body language that wasn't super happy. I'm just guessing. I don't think it was the 3rd string point guard that got shipped out with Fox. I don't think it was him, and I don't think it was Alex Len either, who didn't have a lot of voice on the team. I'm assuming the one that's not on is Kevin Huerter, just by process of elimination. And then as far as on the team, I mean, Sabonis, it's been very vocal that he, whatever, had his tiffs with him. But the other one, I kind of feel, this is what I personally think, this isn't fact. I think 2 were vocal, but I think there's more that didn't want him on the team. And the reason I say that, because 1, I automatically put in Sabonis. 2, you can put a couple people in there. You could put in Keon Ellis, who was getting 0 run, which I'm just mind blown that Keon wasn't getting any run with Mike Brown. Yes, I know in the beginning he struggled, but obviously he's one of your better defenders on a terrible defensive team. So you could assume Keon possibly. You can also assume DeRozan, who was vocal after the firing. Oh yeah, change needed to be made. And it's like, well, he played with Brown for what? 3 months, 2 months, 4 months, and he said change is good or whatever he said. I'm paraphrasing, so you can add DeMar in there. And then also the report about supposedly Mike wanting to bench DeRozan. DeRozan didn't like it, so you can add DeRozan in there. You can add Keon in there. You can even add Monk in there too. So that's because of the tiffs they've had. Now maybe that wasn't the case, but my point is maybe it was too vocal, but maybe there was more that weren't vocal. aka who's the most non-vocal guy on the team? Keegan Murray. You don't know what he's thinking. So it's like, yeah, it's true though, man. So it's like,
It's true. It's very
yeah.
true.
So it's like there could have been more of a divide that we know. I'm thinking maybe Fox was his only supporter. Who knows? I'm not, again, I just don't, I have more questions, I guess, than answers now, but what it's done with. It's done with already. And I guess one of the last things I'll say is, yes, I can agree, Vivek. I hated that they didn't do a press conference. That still gets me nauseous thinking about that they didn't do a press conference after firing Mike Brown. But I will always have some support for Vivek because he helped save the team. I remember that day when they were almost getting sold. I was in tears, bro. I was like, I'm losing my team. And
Right.
I was like, if they somehow save this team, even if they go 0-82 for 10 years, and I'm exaggerating, I'm gonna be happy because I'm not gonna go bandwagon another team. I'm not gonna go support Seattle because they're technically our team. No, I'm a Kings fan, and I'll just be an NBA fan, I guess. So,
But
on
here's
that,
the thing.
go
Here's
ahead,
the
go ahead.
thing, Alex. Here's the
Yeah.
thing. And I think it's like this very delicate thing to dissect. It's this very, very faint line. Just because he saved the team does not give or take away your right to properly ran basketball, a good organization, a respectable product, something that you are happy with. You know, it's not like you get like I felt the same way. I completely felt the same way when Vivek bought the team because we would have no team. At least we get to have
Yep.
these conversations. But
Yep.
with the amount of money, the amount of time that you pour in to supporting this team, to watching shows like this, to listening to other podcasts, to watching games, to buying merch like you talked about, to going to games, there's a certain level that you deserve. And so, you know, that pass only goes so far. And I think Sacramento is kind of scared to tip that boat. And trust me, Sacramento knows how to tip a boat. They kept a team here when there was an agreement for it to be sold.
No, I hear you 100%. And again, I can agree that he's probably in the top 5 worst NBA owners. But again, I can't ignore that he didn't help save the team. And that's the only reason I will. It'd be like, and this is kind of a silly comparison. Let's say I have an enemy that saved my life. And sure, I don't have to be his friend. I don't have to go hang out with him. I don't have to call him. But if he needs a favor here and there, I'll do it because he saved my life. That's the silliest comparison I can make. That's how I feel about Vivek. Yes, a lot of things he does I don't agree with. It's crazy. It doesn't make sense. But again, I'm here complaining about it with you, with everybody, because we have a team to complain about. You know what I mean? It's the whole big picture surrounding it. So yeah, man, I appreciate you taking the call. And real quick, I know you still aren't crazy about the UFC, but dude, you gotta watch this week, this Saturday, UFC 313, Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. It's going to be fantastic. Go watch it, dude. I always tell you, if you're gonna watch one UFC event, make sure Alex Pereira is in it. He's the biggest star the UFC has.
I feel like every time we talk, the biggest star the UFC has changes.
I've always said Alex Pereira. Some people have Alex Pereira. He's dominated the sport the last at least 2 years. Saved cards. He's incredible. He's a knockout artist. He's amazing. If you're gonna go watch Alex Pereira's last 5 fights. It's been in the last 2 years. It's been incredible. Also, shameless plug. I have a preview out for the fight tomorrow. Check it out if you'd like. Don't check it out. Again, if you're gonna watch one fight, I guess a year, make sure Alex Pereira is in that card, which he'll be in there this Saturday.
Fair enough. Appreciate it. Good job,
Yes,
Alex.
sir.
Getting some love in the chat. All right, brother. Good stuff from Alex. We've got an Uso on hold. We're going to go to him in a second. But first, Don, what's up, man?
What's up, Ryan?
How you doing, dude?
Hey, as you can, I got my camera situation figured out.
Look at your background. What is going on right now?
That's a jellyfish, I guess. Electric jellyfish.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know if they're supposed to glow like they glow like that.
Brother,
I don't
jellyfish scare me. I got stung by one in Maui. Oh my gosh,
What?
dude. Yes. You know what it felt like? Like, you know, when you're a kid, like if you wrap
Like a
thread or
shock?
something. So, like, you know, like if you wrap a thread or something too tightly around your finger, it felt like that, except that thread was like electricity and fire mixed together. It was insane. I had scars for like 6 months.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
anyway, what was you doing? Surfing?
No, we were snorkeling and it happened. We took a snorkel trip to, I believe it's called Black Rock. And we were 20 seconds into the trip, like in the water, and it happened. And then like all my friends I was there with, they weren't worried about if I was okay. They were trying to line up to pee on me because that's what you're supposed to do on a jellyfish. I'm like, you guys aren't doing that. It's not happening. So, anyways, what's up, dude? How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Look, I understand people's sentiment. They want to boo Fox. I mean, I get it, but I kind of disagree with booing Fox. Last game I went to was the one where Fox fell on his back.
Yeah, that was a
hurt his
bad one.
back.
Yeah,
that's Devin Carter debuted in that game, and
right.
But anyways, look, I kind of disagree. I think Fox, in my opinion, he always worked hard on the court.
Okay.
A lot of people want to say that he was kind of half-hearted or he gave up on the team or something like that. Look, dude, I just don't think that the team was just working with Fox on it, you know. So I don't think it's really his fault. I blame more the organization for Fox's situation. I think that hold on, what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to say that Fox didn't act perfect.
Sure.
He didn't act perfect. His demeanor wasn't the best. It could have been better, but he's also human.
Sometimes when you act
He
that
could have
way,
acted more like a professional. Go ahead, man.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say sometimes that means you care because you're acting a certain way. You know, maybe you care too much. So there's that side of it too. I get that.
So just me personally, I wouldn't boo him. During a tribute, I don't understand. I guess they have to do a tribute, but
they're going to do a video. I don't know when they're doing the video though. If you guys have heard or as anybody's heard they're doing or when they're going to do it, I think the best time to do it personally, and tell me what you think, is maybe with about 4 minutes left in warm-ups before they start the national anthem and all that. I don't think doing a tribute in between or after the national anthem and before the Spurs starting lineups, I don't think that would go well. But what do you think?
Well, if it was at halftime, that would be a good reason to get up out of the seat and go get a snack, maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
But I wouldn't boo him. I might give him a clap. I just think I wouldn't respond. Really, I would just look at him as an opponent now. He's an opponent on the court. Want to beat him. Want to defeat him, and so that's just what I would do.
For sure. Hey, I appreciate you calling. Badass background too.
All right.
Is that like a green screen or is it like a digital background?
Nah, it's a split cam thing that I downloaded. It is free.
I'm gonna have to go check that out. All right, good job, Don. Thanks for calling, dude. Appreciate you.
All right, man. I'll see you later.
Stuff from Don. Look at him killing it with the background. Loving it. Adam Moose, I'm coming to you in a second. Appreciate all the love about today's show. And I could not agree more with all you guys about this community that's being built. Y'all are the best. I love seeing the relationships in the chat. You guys getting to know each other. Awesome stuff. How do we know that there is a tribute video? It was in Sam Amick's article. That was released today in The Athletic that we read part of earlier in the show. Really quick, I want to touch on something that kind of bugged me a little bit about the Denver game. And then don't forget, we're back We're back tonight at 6:15, getting you ready with the pregame show for the Spurs. We'll get into the numbers, get into what to look for with De'Aaron. Look, tonight is going to be pretty much a one-on-one with Keon and or Keegan and De'Aaron Fox. A lot of attention's going to be paid there. Just make sure you don't forget about Steph Castle, please. I could see Steph Castle having a big game because too much attention's paid to number 4. But it is going to be interesting to see if Keon can knock De'Aaron off his game a little bit. I think the best way to go after De'Aaron tonight is just constant pressure. Do what with that finger that he's dealing with. What was the scout? What did we not like as Kings fans? The turnovers. He was having issues dribbling the ball. So make him dribble with pressure on him all night tonight. Do it with Keegan. Do it with Keon. Hell, even do it with Laravia in certain spots. Throw him a bunch of different looks. So we'll talk more about that tonight on the pregame at 6:15. Halftime with Jerry Reynolds. By that time, we'll know what the response is going to be to Foxy. If you're going to the game, get up in there in the chat. Let us know what you're experiencing. And then definitely after the game, give us a call. We'll be here all night talking about the Kings and the Spurs and what promises to be a very, very memorable night from the Golden One Center. So what really bugged me about the Nuggets game is we all know the Kings got a bad whistle. We can all agree on that. It happens. It sucks that it happened when the Kings were playing without Sabonis, playing without Monk, just really playing their tails off. They had opportunities to win. I thought maybe Doug could have called a timeout when the Kings got the opportunity with 47 seconds left. They did not. But there's something that Doug has been talking about all season. Doug's talked about, guys, you go out and play. You let me handle the officials. So after the game, Doug was asked about the officiating. And the person asking the question, Chris Biderman, did not want to get Doug to be fined. But here's what Doug had to say.
I want their minds focused on the game plan. And for the most part, we did that. There was a little bit where we got, like I said, a little discombobulated, but in a high leverage situation, you know, it's to be expected sometimes. You don't want it, but it happens.
Was there any, how do you assess sort of the fourth quarter for you guys?
Maybe not getting the whistle that maybe you'd expect. How do you keep the guys engaged and focused on the task at hand there on the offense?
Because my job is to deal with the refs and their job is to hoop. And that's what I expect out of them. And they know this. So when they start talking to the refs and barking at the refs, I'm like, yo, chill that out. We don't do that. We here to hoop. Let me deal with them, and I will state our case and live to fight another day. I want their minds focused on the game plan. And for the most part, we did that. There was a little bit where we got, like I said, a little discombobulated, but in a high leverage system.
So Doug wants the guys to stay away from the officials. He doesn't want them chirping. He wants their minds strictly on basketball. Well, Doug, you got to take up for your team more. You got to get teed up. You've got to do something. You've got to rip the officials in the post game. I'm not saying drop 4-letter bombs, and I know Doug's personality has always been very passive when it comes to the officials for the most part. But if you are going to take the stance that you're taking, telling your players all hands off, it's on me. You've got to do more for them. If I'm DeMar DeRozan, I'm probably rubbed the wrong way that I had to come out and say what I had to say. Those words should have been coming out of Doug's mouth, in my opinion, whether it been on the court while the game was still going on or whether it be after the game at the podium. You've got to follow up your words with action. So if I'm DeMar DeRozan, who got hit with a $25,000 fine, guess what? I'm going to say, hey, DeMar, hey, Debo, I'm going to pay that for you if I'm Doug Christie. That's what I would do. I think it's the right thing to do. Doug's got to be better about that. You can't have that stance and stand idle when the whistle is as bad as it was. You got to do more there. So I'm going to defend DeMar there. I don't think there's anything that Doug Christie should say to DeMar about the $25,000 fine other than here's a check. I'll take care of it. Adam Oos, what's up, brother?
What's up, bro?
How
Happy
you doing?
Friday.
Happy Friday.
We made it.
We made it.
Now what? Man, I don't know what I'm going to watch tonight. Well, I can have 2 hours of SmackDown before the game starts here, so that's cool. But I think I'm going to switch over to Kings when the Kings game starts this time.
Wow. It's a big step for you.
It is a big step for me, at least as of late. But Kings been playing well. Denver game, I watched that one. It was a little better for my time zone.
Yeah. You get it an hour earlier.
Yeah. So that was nice. But it was a bummer game. Still 3-1 on the road. We'll take that all day, every day.
Yeah, it was a heck of a trip. I liked how they played. The only thing that I didn't like, and I thought Jake LaRavia said it perfectly, it got too stagnant. They went too ISO, and that allowed Denver to kind of claw back. She knew a run was coming at him. You knew it was going to happen. Denver always kind of wakes up as the game goes. And tonight, it's got to be 5-man basketball. You cannot have a half like they did where DeMar takes, and I understand he cooked in the third quarter, but you see how much better the team is when everybody's involved. Like, you've got to make sure everybody's touching the ball.
Yeah. We could lose every game for the rest of the season, but we have to win tonight.
I'm with you, dude. Well, it's not just that. Like, we're talking about this massive homestand that's coming up that's Murderers Row. And I'm kind of thinking, and I've said this the last couple days on the show, I don't think that homestand matters nearly as much as 4 of the next 5 games. The game tonight, for obvious reasons, although out of the 4 games, it's probably the one that's least important to the standings, but most important to the fan base, the momentum, probably the team internally. But you've got head-to-head matchups that are going to be huge with the Clippers, with Golden State and Phoenix, and Golden State's going to dictate the tiebreaker. So those are the 3 teams that and if Phoenix catches fire, you don't want to give them reason to believe that they can catch you. Those are the teams you're going to possibly be competing against for a 6 seed, for a play-in game. So you got to do those. Those are bigger than just one game in the standings.
Yeah, I mean, I hope I don't eat my words, but I think the only fire Phoenix is starting is a dumpster fire.
Dude, they came back on the Clippers, and I just hated every moment of it. I hated Colin Gillespie showing them something at the point guard position. Yeah, I don't know. When we're the Kings and they have Durant and they have Devin Booker, I don't like it, man. Don't like it.
You know what? I lived in Phoenix for 15 years, and I've still got a ton of friends there that are all Suns fans. And anytime they try to talk trash about the Kings, I go, hey, guess what? You guys have 0 rings. So do we, at least in the Sacramento area. But
True. They've been to a finals. But yeah, no, I got you.
That's great.
Yeah, for sure. So I know we can't do a full wrestling segment today. There's just too much Kings, but I'm gonna give you like 2 or 3 minutes. Get your top thoughts out on the industry.
Right. I know we talked on Monday a little bit because you got some calls about the Cena stuff this week, and that was cool. Prompted by me. But yes, you missed it. It got spoiled for you. I think why, for me, it was so good was like the Cody F-bomb, and then you rolled straight into that, right? Like that was wild. And so I think it was just, it was the most perfect use of the F word in the history of the English language.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you.
That was maybe more unexpected than Cena turning heel was Cody dropping an F-bomb.
John, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, it's true.
So I started thinking this week, what if Cena gets double crossed and it was actually a plan between The Rock and Cody? Cody retains at WrestleMania. Rock and Cody screw over Cena. That sets him up to be a face again and to have the crowd behind him to beat Cody at a future date. Maybe it's SummerSlam. By SummerSlam, this tour is 6 months in. And that would shock people even more than this Cena turn. Cena says, you know what? I'm sorry. I was wrong. I went against everything that I stood for, but I'm back. I'm refocused. I'm realigned.
Well, he could also say it's part of never giving up. It's doing anything to get to that 17th title.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. There's some wild stuff out there.
I don't hate it whatsoever. I just don't know. I don't think John Cena retires as a heel. Yeah, I think you're right.
There's no chance. There's no chance. So how do you turn him back? That's what's going through my mind.
It's a good question. We'll have to talk about it.
If he gets screwed over, you get the fans back on his side. You get John Cena's morals aligned again, and here we go.
So here's my parting question for you. Would you take a Bianca Belair hair whip for $10,000?
$10,000? Oh, yeah.
You take that hair whip?
$10,000? I mean,
bare skin.
I might take less.
Bare skin, not to the stomach, but to the lower back. Like the worst part right there. Or maybe the ribs. Are the ribs worse?
I could think of worse things to get paid $10,000.
I mean, that thing sounds nasty, bro.
It was nasty, and it looked nasty. Man, I don't know. What do you think about we didn't really talk about this, but the KO versus Sammy match I thought was awesome.
Yeah, it was a good match. It was a good match for sure.
It was great.
Yep.
I loved it. I think Sammy's going to be out for a little bit, but then you had Randy come out. Like, that was a good moment.
See, that's going to be your next step, though. To me, Cena's going to move on somewhere else after Cody, and you're going to have Orton and Cody the night after WrestleMania. You're going to think that Orton's coming to help Cody, but he actually turns on Cody, and now you're off to the races to your next program.
Okay, and so, like I said, if we have some sort of weird double cross, right? John Cena gets the title at SummerSlam off of Cody. I think Randy Orton would be the perfect candidate to take it off of John Cena.
Okay. All right. We do have one question from Tristan. I'm not going to put it on the screen. I'm going to change the terms of the hair whip. 10,000 for the hair whip.
All right, now, mommy, daddy button.
If I'm getting hit in that region by her hair,
keep it PG.
I'm keeping it PG.
Keep it PG. I've got my finger on the dump.
I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't need to say anymore.
All right, get out. Get out there. What?
We got LA Knight tonight versus Shinsuke. Who you got?
LA Knight for sure. Because then they're gonna do Fatu and LA Knight.
Yeah, you got to do something with that belt. We got Chelsea Green versus Michin in another street fight.
Oh my god!
Is this what we have for?
Out of here.
Yeah, Michin's got to go, dude. We're done.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I'm gonna be doing King stuff tonight. So
yeah, I know.
SmackDown will be tomorrow. Love you, brother. Be good.
Yep.
Acknowledge him.
Acknowledge me.
He is an Uso. He is a certified USO. All right, let's close out the show with my man Dirk. What's up, Dirk?
Hey, thanks. Oh man, so going to the game tonight.
You are.
I'm pumped, but I'm
Nice.
nervous.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm nervous. So I'll say I'm pretty much going to react to what the rest of the crowd does. If I hear a bunch of booing, I'm going to cheer just because, listen, I think we were all tired of how the way the organization was operating, right? And that's the
Yeah.
biggest takeaway for me about Fox's actions. He was done with the way this organization is handling things. He gave us many, many good years of his career, wants to win a championship, doesn't feel like this organization could get it done. And that's how we all generally feel, I think, until this Fox thing came up. So, it's going to be a good final hurrah for us here. But I wanted to get your thoughts on some of the reports that came out today
Mm-hmm.
in regards to who in the Kings team wanted Mike Brown fired.
Okay.
What do you think that was?
I'm not at liberty really to go into it too much at this point. Who do you
Good to
think it
know.
was?
I mean, it has to be someone with power on this team. So it's either going to be Sabonis or DeRozan, but you wouldn't think DeRozan would have that much power coming in. And listen, that it's perfectly fine. Players are entitled to their own opinions.
I think we
just
got to
found it-
take. Hold on, really quick, Dirk. I don't mean
Sure.
to cut you off. I think this was when Mike was going to be re-signed. There were guys that didn't want him to come back, which meant DeRozan wasn't here yet.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, and that creates an interesting new variable to factor in here as far as, all right, what's Mike Brown all about? Defense. Who wouldn't like Mike Brown's way of doing things when the star player is behind that person? So I think it's kind of clear to me who that person could possibly be. I just found that kind of fascinating. I also, in reading some of these articles today, was interested to know like how much influence Vivek's daughter is having on the way the organization operates. I don't know if you have any perspective on that.
Yeah, I do have some perspective. I think it's unknown. And I think that's why there's so much uneasiness about it. Nobody knows exactly how much she's chiming in, but everybody is pretty confident that she's chiming in, especially because of the Jeremy Lamb variable that was reported by Sam Amick, him having some say behind the scenes. Grant said the other night, in fact, 3 of the 4 names that were in Sam's article about who he would seek advice from outside of his own front office, 3 of the 4 names Grant said on our post-game show a couple of games ago. He was spot freaking on. But I think the thing that I look at, Dirk, is the fact that she was the assistant GM in Stockton. She went from pop star or wannabe pop star, with all due respect, trying to be a pop star. And all transparency, I have met her before, and I have met Vivek before. In fact, I probably spent a little bit more time with her than I have Vivek. And then the whole thing happened with the player that, along with his girlfriend, murdered somebody. And all of a sudden, she was off to pursue her nonprofit. But I think for me, the bigger question is, was that just more of a fix to get her even more involved? And I know it's not a fix coming off of a horrible circumstance, like somebody taking another's life. But if she was already the GM in Stockton, who's to think she's not still going to have dad's ear about basketball, whether she deserves to or not, right?
Yeah, I mean, she is a Nepo baby. There's no, I'm not saying she doesn't have maybe some insider perspective or has the capacity to learn about basketball at her time there. And I certainly don't account for someone's act of murder to the GM, but I could see how maybe that might impact the decision. I just think it's interesting overall. And one last comment you had said I chimed in late here today. I just got off work, but
Yeah,
you
you're good.
mentioned that the Kings need to find a new way to attack this without DeRozan shooting 32 shots.
Yeah.
How do you see that looking different this game, considering Monk and Sabonis are still out? What are your thoughts?
A lot less dribble handoff. I think there was too much dribble handoff and a lot less of giving the ball to Zach LaVine to operate. As much as I don't like I don't like where Zach LaVine's IQ is at right now. I think they've got to really run things around the pick and roll. They've got to do down screens. They've got to do a lot more of the curls around. Like if you noticed, or I'm sure you've picked this up, there's a lot of times where when Valanciunas gets positioned in the paint, they will run Keegan, they'll run DeRozan, they'll run LaVine just off a very tight curl, just basically like a dog chasing its tail around Valanciunas to right under the hoop that either opens Valanciunas up or it opens one of those two up cutting through the lane. I think they've got to go back to the stuff that worked in the first quarter, the second quarter, or halfway through the second quarter against Denver, and some of the same stuff that had worked even when Fox was here, which was away from the DHO. You can't run DHO with Valanciunas. It's not his game. So I can't tell you exactly how they're going to do it, but there's got to be ways that they can get those guys involved because we've seen it happen. And I truly believe, just like we saw in the second half, I said before last game, if Keon Ellis only has 2 shots and Keegan only has 2 shots at halftime, the Kings are going to be in trouble. And that's what happened in the second half. The first quarter of the game was beautiful. The shot distribution was awesome. DeRozan had 4, Keegan had 2, Valanciunas had 4, LaVine had 3, Keon had 4. LaRavia, who you don't expect to have 5 shots, had 5, and then Trey Lyles had 2, which means everybody's involved. And so I just think they've got to try to do a little bit of the same and have better attention to who they're attacking and when they're attacking them.
It's a bummer because, I wanted to celebrate Jake LaRavia's game, but it was such a disappointing loss. It's sad that was overshadowed by his first real impactful both ways game. It was just very impressive. Yeah, I hope the Kings can figure it out. I feel like it's gonna probably go the same way as far as did DeMar take all those shots because that was the game plan, or that's really everyone else was deferring. I would love to see Keon Ellis get into some dribble penetration.
Yep.
It seems like he has that in his game, where to get into the mid-range and do a floater or do something. I hope we can find him a couple more shots like that tonight. But I think you've nailed the key in my mind. Keegan needs to have one of those early aggressive starts, get him producing. That would be great if it also comes against Fox. I think we'd all appreciate that.
100%. And I said this before you joined. We cannot hyper focus on Fox and forget about Castle. You can't do it tonight. Castle could have a big night if the Kings do that. So what exciting, I actually really value your opinion. What would your game plan be on defending Fox?
Keegan. I like that premise of putting Keegan on it because Fox even talks about this. Keegan's seen his entire game. I don't think Fox is gonna be I don't know. If you were to predict, is Fox gonna have a great game? I think if he's pissed off, he will. But I don't think he tries to downplay this psychologically all the time on pretending things don't bother him when they bother him.
100%.
Saying the fans if they're bitter, that's their problem. We don't concern ourselves with that. That's not the way normal people phrase things. So he's trying to mask a little bit of his opinions. I want Fox as unfocused and as nostalgic as he can be tonight, thinking about the good times, thinking about anything but what's going on in the game. Now, I don't know. If I'm putting my money on it, I'm going to say Fox is not going to score over 30 points tonight. He's not going to go ballistic. So, what are the San Antonio Spurs without Wemby? I can't really say. I just noticed their record has not been great. Castle's been going off. So I agree with you. Take Castle out. I think Keon's up for that task. And then just have Keegan stick Fox most the entire game.
Yeah, and you can't forget about Vassell. either. He can still shoot the three really, really well. So
be nice if Zach LaVine went off too for 30 or so.
Yeah,
like,
for
'cause
sure.
again, I was not happy with his aggression. You talk about his IQ. It's never going to get any better, but do your game, man. They're not going to, you were an all-star caliber player because you're special. You've got star talent. You can't let the game just come to you. Go make things happen. And I think I really want to see that out of him tonight.
I do too, Dirk, but what's bugging me about him, and I bounced it off Jerry and Grant, and they both agreed with me, is him passing up a really good shot for a worse shot. And I guess this Kings team is not good enough to do that. Even if Zach LaVine is an all-star caliber guy, like, they've got to take their best opportunities, their best shots. And so I'd like to see him be a little bit more forward and aggressive towards the hoop. You know, we saw that early in his time here in Sacktown. He wasn't getting very many whistles, but I liked that version of Zach a lot.
Same, the cutting, the fast breaks, the alley-oop, but there's no one to distribute the ball to him here. And I agree. You see Zach LaVine take what we call a bad shot, you know, and it's like, why didn't you shoot the easier one? I'm going to give him some leeway in his ability to make those shots. He's a talent-based player. You hear DeRozan say he's the most talented guy like I've probably ever worked with. And I think that's what he's speaking of. Like, okay, you can do things other people are incapable of doing. Again, I want to see more aggression out of him, but I'm okay. Like, especially when you're down two guys like Monk and Sabonis, that he takes more shots just to try to get a rhythm going. So at least the defense has to see something other than what we were showing them.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Appreciate you, Dirk. Have fun at the game tonight, brother.
Light the beam.
Light the beam. Dirk wrapping us up here on a Friday. King Spurs. De'Aaron Fox coming your way. We're back on the air at 6:15. I want to play this one more time from Jake LaRavia. I love that he said this, and he was spot on, and it goes to what Dirk and I were just talking about.
What stopped working for you guys there? That was about 8 minutes.
Yeah, I think it just got stagnant a little bit, like you said. Wasn't really flowing like it was the first 3 quarters, and then had to shoot some like late shot clock shots. Had some turnovers there late that didn't really help.
See, that's what happens when it gets stagnant. Those things happen late in the shot clock. You get grenades, you get worse shots. When it's flowing, you don't see that as much. And by the way, I can live with the turnovers when it's flowing. I can't live with the turnovers when it's stagnant and it's shot clock violations and it's things of that nature. So I love that Jake spoke up about that, especially being a newer member of the Kings. So good job by him. It's going to be an emotional night, man. Y'all brought it today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Love you all. Hell of a week here on the Kings Court. And we're back on the air in just about an hour and a half. We're doing the pregame show with you right here. We'll get more into the X's and the O's tonight, how we expect the Kings to guard De'Aaron, and what we should expect from the game tonight. Big one for the Kings. Again, I go back to this. There's 4 games in the next 5 that are crazy important. I think they are more important than any game on the Murderers Row homestand later this month. We'll also talk a little bit about Stockton at 6:15. I'll be down in Stockton tomorrow, checking them out. Come say hi if you are going to the game. And then halftime, as always, Jerry back with us. We'll be talking about the first half, talking about how the fans reacted to De'Aaron. There will be a tribute video for those that are just tuning in right now. No idea about when that video will air. I think it's probably best with maybe 3 or 4 minutes left in the warm-up clock before they get to the national anthem. But who knows with the way this organization handles things. Go check out Sam Amick's full article in The Athletic. Also a piece in ESPN as well. But go check out Sam's article. It was an excellent piece. It went right up to the line that it should have. And I can't say enough about it. So good job by Sam. And post-game, we're here tonight. Grant and I will be breaking it down and taking all of your calls First time callers, love it. Donald, thank you for the super chat, brother, and thank you for everything that you bring to the channel. Each of you bring to this channel. It isn't a channel without y'all. So we appreciate you very much. We'll see you back at 6:15 for the pregame show. Go Kings, light the damn beam. Court is dismissed.